Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am making Ganesh. I do apologise that I have been sort of AWOL for the last month. This piece took a lot longer than I was expecting, but I'm very proud of this piece. It's like super detailed, so I hope you enjoy watching. As always, we are going to start with the armature. I literally just folded a large piece of armature wire over itself and then wrapped it around itself and then drilled it down to my base using the help of magic third hand, as always. To bulk out Ganesh, I am literally just folding loads and loads of foil around the bottom half of my armature until I have like a potato. And then just attaching two equal lengths of wire. I've made them slightly longer than I needed them because I'd rather have two longer arms and be able to cut the armature down than not have enough to attach the hands later. So he's got extraordinarily long arms at the minute, but it's fine. Just use a bit of floral wire, wrap it round, and you're pretty much good to go. Today I'm using two different types of clay. The first one is my Super Sculpey medium, magic, ta-da. And the second one is some arteza clay that I bought on New Year's Eve. I don't actually remember buying it, but I have it now, so I'm going to use it. Because his feet aren't bearing any weight from the sculpture, I literally just sort of stuck them down to the base using a little bit of bacon bond and then covered up the seam using like a little chunk of clay to make it look like the bottom of the trousers. Then I went on to use like loads and loads of caterpillars of clay to make all of the folds and wrinkles in the trousers. I did end up making quite a few of these, there was loads of them, but the more I added, the more flowy the fabric looked, and that was kind of the end result that I wanted. If you're struggling to create like fabric, then my suggestion is to get like a piece of fabric and drape it over a chair or a table, or if you've got like a really big pair of trousers, put them on to see what it looks like, and then you'll get sort of like a general idea of what you want your trousers to look like. To attach Ganesh's arms, I literally just rolled out 4 chunkier caterpillars and then cut a hole down the middle of them, not all the way through, just using my craft knife sort of halfway down. Opened up the clay and then sort of folded it back onto the armature wire using a little bit of bacon bond. It's a really quick and easy way to like attach your entire arm rather than trying to do it bit by bit, because it can be very difficult. You can go in later and then start adding in your muscles and any fine details that you want after. It just makes the process a little bit easier. I made the very first hand off screen, and then I kind of used this hand as a measuring tool to create all the digits for every other hand that I was making, just to try and keep them consistent. It was literally the only way I could think of doing it. That way I didn't end up with like loads of fingers on one hand longer than the others. And so yeah, it was just a good little tip that I kind of figured out as I was going, so I thought I'd pass it on to you guys. Once I finished sculpting the hands, I literally, to attach them, poked them onto the excess armature wire that I had left over. Hence the reason why I'm making longer armature than I needed. And then wrapped just like a tiny thread of clay around the wrists and blended it together. Really, really simple, really, really easy way of attaching your hands. So it was at this point where I started to, I don't know, worry about the challenge that I'd actually set myself, because I realised that I had so much to do and the level of detail that I was going to have to commit to was unreal. And I have to admit, really start thinking, what have I got myself into? Because it was going to take forever, and it really did feel like it was going to take forever as well. When you get to that stage, just take a break. I had to. In the end, I was just like, I need to step away for a couple of days, take a break, spend some time with my family, and then come back to it later. So, you know, whenever you're feeling like the task has gotten too big or you're bored of sculpting, take a break. Honestly, it really, really does help. Then when you come back to it, you've got that energy and that commitment again to put in all of the time that you want to put in for such a detailed piece. Honestly, I think that anybody can create to this level if they just take a little bit of time, make it with love, because when you make it with love and you've really enjoyed doing it, you can tell at the end of a piece. So, you know, if you're worrying about how much time and effort you're going to put into something, if it takes you a year, it takes you a year. If it takes you a week, it takes you a week. Just commit the time that you want to commit to it. Otherwise, you're not enjoying it anymore, and what's the point? So this is the arteza clay that I drunk bought. There's no better way to put it. I genuinely don't remember buying it. It was just in my mailbox the next day. I had to check on Amazon. I was like, oh yeah, no, I did buy it. It's a really, really good clay. Thoroughly enjoyed working with it. But my God, you need to have the strength of He-Man to knead it down so that it's actually workable. I don't know what it's made of. It's like iron. You've got to really, really spend a lot of time smushing it down. And it doesn't go through my pasta machine very well either, so I ended up having to crack out like the old school rolling pin just to get it thin enough for me to be able to use it. It's good clay, holds details quite well. It doesn't hold really, really fine details though, so if you're thinking of buying it, it's great for like big bulky items like the fabric on the back of his shawl. I think it's called a shawl. I don't know, I'll have to research that. Yeah, it was good for that, but I could never have used it for the teeny tiny details in like his jewellery and stuff like that. So I'm taking a little bit of artistic license here. I couldn't find too much in the way of images of him wearing armour. But I'm not saying this is armour. I'm going to call it decorative jewellery. I don't know. I like to make things a little bit my own. So I did take some inspiration from imagery, like this one here, and then kind of made it a little bit my own. So yeah, there isn't a great deal of images in the way of armour, but it's not armour, it's decorative jewellery. Once I finished making all of this tiny detail, I attached it using a little bit of bacon bond to his shoulders, and then I put the bottom half of him into the oven. Once I had done that, I could then start working on his head. I literally just made another tin ball, foil ball. No, tin ball would have worked. Shoved that onto my armature. I did leave enough excess armature at the top so that I've got some for his crown later. And then just sort of started working on the basic details. I started with his cheeks. I also had to put in his bottom jaw first, which made him look a little bit weird for a while. Just trust the process. Sometimes things just really don't look right, but just keep trusting the process. The only reason that I had to put the bottom jaw in first was because his trunk kind of would have got in the way of me trying to sculpt it in. So I put the trunk in, added the sides, and it did eventually start looking like an elephant head, although I have to admit, whilst I was doing this, I was like, what am I making? This does not look like an elephant. To attach his eyes, I literally just used a little bit of bacon bond first to turn him into a rather scary, sad-looking elephant. And then I put in some of my milliput eyes. My milliput eyes are literally just leftover milliput from other projects that I've turned into tiny little balls and then stuck them in a container and left them there until I've needed them. It's just a really, really cheap version of buying eyes. I don't want to spend a fortune on buying like ball bearings because I'm a bit cheap. So if you're a little bit cheap too, try that way. To attach his tusks and his ears, I am literally just shoving in like half of a cocktail stick on both sides of his mouth and both sides of his head. It just helps to support the clay because I'm clumsy and I will knock them. So yeah, things like big floppy ears will fold over in the oven as well. So you just need to add that extra little bit of support for them so that they will stay up during the baking process. To attach the peaks of the crown, I literally just didn't sculpt anything on the bottom half and then just smushed them into his head. I did a lot of the detail of the crown off screen because otherwise you guys would be here for an eternity watching me make details. But yeah, I just tried to show you like the basic details that I put in. The rest I did off screen because otherwise you guys literally would be here all day, and as much as I'd love to keep you, I don't think you'll sit and watch like 50 hours worth of footage. To make the lotus that he is sat on, I cracked out the arteza clay again because I've got 2 pounds of this stuff, so I'm going to have to use it. Just made some really, really basic petal shapes and then bacon bonded them to the edge of my base. I did stick a thin layer of clay around the edge as well just to help it to adhere, but other than that it was really, really easy to do. And this clay is kind of good for this kind of detail. Nice big chunky bits. Does really, really well. With this piece now, I'm not entirely sure if this is part of his crown or is supposed to represent an aura. So I decided to make it separately. I made one side, baked it, let it cool down, and then did the details on the back, which is what you're watching right now. I decided to go with the more aura side of things rather than making it part of his crown. So if I'm wrong, then please do let me know down in the comments because, you know, it's good to know these types of things, but I couldn't find any information about it online. So, you know, do let me know. This is the part that our incense will sit on. It's literally just the bottom of a Coke can and some milliput where I've sort of drilled a hole all the way through. Well, I didn't drill a hole, I poked a hole all the way through whilst the clay was still wet, allowed it 3 hours to dry, and then drilled a hole in the side so that I could attach it to this large wooden hoop that I acquired from somewhere. It's really, really simple to make. If you want to see how I made it, because silly here forgot to actually press record, I do have another video where I made something very similar. I will leave a link in the description below, or you can click on the link in the top right of your screen now. That will show you how to make this part of the incense burner, because I'm sorry, I completely forgot to press record. Sorry. This is pretty much the last part of the sculpting that I needed to get done. Ganesh is often depicted with a large Indian rat, which he uses to actually ride on, which I thought was kind of cool. Unfortunately, somehow I managed to make a very cute mouse as opposed to a large Indian rat. I'm not quite sure where I went wrong. And I do apologise for the lighting on this bit of the video. It just seems a little bit off. So I'm very sorry. But yeah, my version has a small Indian field mouse. My little rat mouse will be an incense stick holder. So in order to do that, whilst he was unbaked, I literally just sort of poked a hole through his arms and into his tummy so that he had plenty of space to be holding the incense stick. But I don't feel like I showed that in this footage. But there is a hole going through his belly to put an incense stick into. Once I did that, I literally got to bake everything, and we finally get to like do my favourite bit of the painting. I start as I always do, just priming the areas that I need to prime. So all of my gold areas really I just painted black, and part of his aura I also painted the insert red because it was easier to do the red before the black. So yeah, I'm using my usual Arteza paints, although I do break out some of my more expensive Vallejo paints. Vallejo? That paint? I can never pronounce the names of paints. Can somebody just give like a really easy name to say on their paint, and I will start using your paint brand, because I really struggle to say paint names. got to have a lot of fun whilst painting Ganesh, because this one of the very few pieces that I made that I could really bash out as many colours, as brighter colours as I wanted to. It was great fun to just really get in there and use like every colour I had. It was really nice to make something so bright and vibrant. So, you know, if you're loving paints and colours and stuff like that, sculpt a Ganesh, because you will get to use every single colour you own. The gold paint that I'm using is Stuart Semple's Goldest Gold. You can purchase it from culturehustle.com. It's literally the goldest paint I've managed to find so far. However, if any of you guys know of any metallics that you think are better than this one, then please do let me know, because I am always on the hunt for great metallics. They're really hard to find. I've bought so many and they've always turned out to be like not as good as I'd want. So, you know, if you know of any great metallic paints, then let me know down in the comments, because I would really like to know, or would really like to buy some, I guess. Get some help from my subs. Thank you guys. To turn his aura from vampiric coaster into, you know, bright and vibrant, I once again went in with as many metallics as I could possibly fit in there to make it shiny and bright. Off screen, I painted all of the little gems individually as well, and it turned out to be like really bright, really vibrant, really nice. Don't be afraid to use colours in this one, honestly, because you really can just go wild with it. Ganesh is such a bright character, so I can't say it enough times. Crack out all your paints, you're going to need them. I have no idea what on earth possessed me to think that this tiny little dot of super glue was going to hold that massive chunk of clay onto the back of his crown. I have no idea. I did, however, have to go back in with it after this failed dramatically with some 5-minute epoxy. That worked. So I thought I'd show you my fail first because I thought it was quite funny. For the ring light, I am literally using some more 5-minute epoxy and attaching, I'm not quite sure on the name of this wire, but I will leave a link in the description of where I got it from. I've had it for quite some time, but I'm probably find where I bought it from down in the description. So if you do want to buy some for yourself, it'll be down there. But yeah, I literally just stuck it down with 5-minute epoxy. You should have seen me and the other half sort of holding it all together. After that, I went on to paint my little Indian rat mouse. And that was pretty much the last of the painting done. Oh no, it wasn't. I had to paint the base as well. I'm lying. I'll be quiet now. I wanted my Ganesh to be sat on a nice tranquil lake, so I cracked out the resin of, you know, the same stuff that I can never pronounce once again, so here it is on the screen for you. I didn't add any alcohol inks or anything to it this time. I left it clear because I didn't want to cover up all that painting that I'd just done. Allowed that 24 hours to cure. Then I super glued down my lily pads and my little mouse, rat mouse, and that's it. That was Ganesh done. I know that this piece has taken me such a long time, and I'm very sorry that it's taken me such a long time, but I am so proud of it. It's going to take me a long time to even want to consider parting with him. So I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please take a minute to like, subscribe, especially subscribe. I love subscribers. But if you do like watching this kind of video, then please like it, and then I kind of know that that's what you'd like to see, and I will quite happily make more things like this if that is what you would like. So I guess I will see you in the next one, guys. Have a nice rest of your week, and I will catch you later. Bye.